It has been far too long since I've had the honor to introduce the man right here, playing in teal. We have the world's highest ranked StarCraft 2 player on the planet, the reigning world champion of StarCraft 2. We're looking inside of the main base of Serral. Now, Serral hasn't been playing in a whole lot of events, but he decided to sign up for a 2v2 event. Spawning right here, right next to him, likewise also in blue, we're looking inside of the main base of ZhuGeLiang, the second highest ranked Zerg player from Finland, so I guess that's nice. I'm assuming they can do their communications in Finnish. That'll be convenient. Their opponents for this particular best of 3. I hope you're a fan of Zerg, because playing here as the third Zerg in this particular match, we have none other than Elazer, and right next to him, finally another caller, finally another race, we have none other than Skillous. A best of 3 series of 2 versus 2 where I forgot to turn on my health bars. But since I'm a professional, nobody noticed. And since I turn them off and on about 14 times a week, I can also click them and enable them again really rapidly. Okay, the first map is Reclamation. This map is massive. There are a bunch of new 2v2 maps available. This one, though, has been around for a very long time. Now, keep in mind that in 2v2, things tend to be very chaotic. Things tend to be very messy. So if I miss some big engagements, I'm trying my absolute best to follow along with the action. I will say, ever since Uthermal started organizing 2v2 tournaments a lot more, and by the way, for this one, it's kind of insane. So there's a fundraiser going on as well, right? Basically, fans of 2v2 can like donate money to accumulate additional funds for this event. And somebody, for this particular series, starting in 2026, decided to donate $50,000. They increased the prize pool by 50 grand. I'm not exactly sure how all of it is going to be used, or if it's going to be used in like one season, or if it's going to be used to like fund upcoming seasons. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, long story short, we have more 2v2, and they matter more now than ever before in StarCraft 2. Like, they've never really been... 2v2 has always kind of been like the ugly love child of of the Blizzard developers. But I do believe we're going to see it a lot more moving forward. And I think it honestly deserves it. One thing we've noticed, right? So it always has been a little bit of a mess. But ever since, early 2025, since 2v2 events have become more commonplace, we've seen the strategies refine a lot more as well. And one observation that I've had is that 2 players on one team playing the same race absolutely sucks. Yeah, I don't think it's beneficial at all to have 2 Zerg players. Like, just from that outset alone, I think this situation is so much better for Skillous and Elazer because they're playing 2 different races. Obviously, 1v1 is what this game is all balanced around, right? It's how we are well familiar with SC2. And Serral and ZhuGeLiang can obviously still make a really good composition. But imagine a unit composition based around, like, Roach Immortal going up against Pure Roach. How is that ever going to be good for the guys going Pure Roach? And that's just one tiny little potential unit comp. It's usually the interesting combinations that I have seen, at least so far. Maybe ZhuGeLiang and Serral here are going to prove me wrong, but usually it's the interesting combos of the units and the different races mixed and matched that makes the games very interesting to me, and usually the unit comps that are mixed are significantly better. Anyhow, for now, we do have quite a few units out in the open. The Zergs are settled on just 2 bases each. Lairs are finishing already, though, so they have something in mind. Skillous here scouts out that there is indeed 1 lair available, and he'll probably go into the other base. Actually, it's already been seen. Maybe we've had some other units flying around. Either way, 2 lairs are here. Spire comes up for ZhuGeLiang. Roach Speed, though, here for Serral. Okay, so we have Muta Roach. Now, you can share resources. One theme that we've had over the last year or so in 2v2 events is that the rules have kind of changed a little bit. So for this particular event, the point in which you can start sparing or sharing resources with your ally is at the 7-minute mark. So they use a custom mod that doesn't include any sort of taxation for sharing resources with your ally, but you can't, well, share anything until minute 7. Overlord inside of the main base, probably a little worried for like a potential Nidus Worm, but what we do have over here is just a massive amount of Zerglings from Elazer. Elazer's worker count is about the same as the other 2 Zergs in this game. Bunch of units go around the site. And so far, Serral doesn't have that many troops, right? He's had a few roaches out. Fair enough. But what he's trying to do is just make an insane amount of mutas. Or, sorry. See, this is what I'm talking about with confusion. We have had a couple of roaches out for Serral already for the base defense. But I think what they're really looking for is mass mutalisk production. Elazer, though, being very aggressive out into the map. Trying to keep tabs as well, just by face tanking the scouting. We do, by the way, have like blue versus red. So the colors aren't just chosen at random. Now, this is going to be easy snipe. Ooh, no cancel by Serral. Washed up? No. We do have like blue going up against red, so the colors at the very least do make things a little bit more convenient. Here's the first Mutalisks flapping their little wings around. Serral's going to start knocking down the rocks over here in the back. Spore Crawler's coming up. We have some Stalkers, though, available for Skillous, as they will be able to blink underneath. Team Blue is using this as an opportunity right now to expand themselves. And in the meantime, Elazer is building up his own Spire here, too. He decided to go for the forward third with the rich gas. And I wonder if he's going to be regretting that choice, because there are just so many blue units right now knocking on the front door. Keeping this third base alive is absolutely critical. I don't think they can really give up on it. Serral trying to boost out the roach count as high as possible. Looks like Team Blue is moving through. That's where the mutas are headed right now. They're splitting off from the main army. Trying to see if they can go for a counter. And this main base here of Skillous is wide open. I think targeting the probes is indeed the right call. He doesn't want to go too deep, though, into this base. He doesn't know how many defenses there are available. A couple of Zerglings now also will join the counterattack. And the probe numbers are going to fall. Recall right now on some of the Stalkers. Moving into the main base. And that's going to push those blue mutas out. Serral, though, was already pushed back at the front. There is a stasis ward. Serral, do you see it? Yeah, he sees it. Actually triggers it perfectly there. He also threw a corrosive bile in the mix. No attack upgrades in the evolution chamber here for the player from Finland, but the mutas are still going to town. And this is significant amounts of damage. The worker count is dwindling for both Skillous as well as Elazer. There are a lot of links available still, though, here for Elazer, so yeah, he has got some of his own mutas now coming in. I actually thought he was going to go into Corruptors, but apparently he wants to win the muta wars with more mutas and a bunch of Stalkers too. Problem is, if the Stalkers are chasing down the Mutalisks, then what about Serral's roaches? I think Serral can snipe the base and run. I think sniping the base and running is the way to go. Corrosive Biles are going to connect. Oh, apparently we didn't want to quite go in for the kill. He was probably hoping to maybe get another set of Biles down. Instead, he decided to back off, fight the Stalkers and the Lynx for just a moment. Mutas are still distracted as well. There's the hatchery ultimately falling, and Serral may just be working some of that Serral magic. Seemingly, his units always seem to have upgrades, even when they don't. They're always dealing a little bit more damage than they usually are expected to. With some multi-pronged aggression here as well, with a little hit squad of roaches moving through. Zerglings right now for ZhuGeLiang also, well, clean up a mineral line, and this is way more damage than I thought the Zerg players were going to be able to deal. The Stalkers have been pushing away the mutas to the best of their abilities, but now 2 third bases are gone. That means, yeah, we get some scouting here. Serral pings the minimap. I think we're going to see some units running around, but that now means that we effectively have 2 base versus 3 base, where Team Blue both have 3 bases each, whereas Team Red both have 2, and we are rapidly approaching the 10-minute mark, which is usually the point at which the main starts running low. Natural expansion right now in a world of trouble too. Serral is holding down the button. No detection available, so Burrow is quite efficient. Tunneling claws on the back of this as well, so Burrow here is indeed a nice thing to have. Some of the units are trying to slip away. Not going to happen, but this is still incredibly annoying here for both Skillous as well as Elazer, who were the aggressors early on. They knew exactly what they were doing, but then suddenly they seem to have been blindsided by this big counterattack. Lovely bit of work here. Okay. Now back to droning we go. There were a lot of losses on the side of Team Blue, and effectively their entire armies got destroyed. At this point, it's just like this is the entire army here for ZhuGeLiang. He needs to be careful that he does not fall too far off the boat. Likewise, we have some roaches available for Serral, who's using them for counterattacks right now. That burrow ability obviously quite handy. He wants to keep these red units pinned back, but Skillous and Elazer have recognized that this is the time for them to move. They cannot really be allowed to sit back here for too long. The economy for ZhuGeLiang is still kind of terrible. He's only on 36 workers. It's really Serral here carrying this game here once more. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Corruptors, though, are really cost-efficient against Mutalisks. So even with a smaller economy, I think that Elazer's army can still be contested. It's going to be Mutas together with Corruptors here. About a 1-to-1 ratio. So when the Corruptors ultimately win the air wars, then I guess you still have some Mutas to chip away at the Stalkers and the Roaches at. It's probably how we're going to try and fight this. Resources lost. Serral and ZhuGeLiang have lost a lot more, but it's not insurmountable. Skillous has been doing a good job keeping his mineral lines alive. Problem for him right now, though, is that the main base is running very low. This line of attack may actually be much better here for Team Red. They move in through the right side. They really want to kill that hatchery, but they do not get the job done. They get pushed away once more. And even though I may be considering 2 Zergs on one team slightly suboptimal, they're making things work. Now, are they, like, do they have any additional depth to their strats, right? Like, are we gonna do Roach Mutas every game? Like, is that the plan? What else can you do? One player going Mutas, one player going Lings. Yeah, if you maybe can feed additional Vespine gas, that would kind of help. I think Elazer and Skillous have a lot more range, at least as far as the options go. Stalkers moving in once more. Mutas, in the meantime, going to the main base. And while I think all the units are out on the map to deal with these counterattacks, they're not in the right place. There's a lot of damage being done. Serral, in the meantime, with the counterattack. Some Lings as well from ZhuGeLiang joining in. The third hatchery here has been retaken by Elazer, but I wonder if it is not going to fall another time. The Mutas are coming back home for defense, but are they going to be able to save the expansion? In the meantime, the Roaches, okay, put up a good fight as well against the Stalkers. There are a lot more Stalkers available, though. I think that the hatchery will indeed live for now. Mutas have decided to move to the natural instead. Chaos all over, but here's Serral's army yet again, and he is outgrowing the other players in this game. Still, though, these are Stalkers, and they are all together. Aggressive blink forward by Skillous as he tries to cut off Serral's retreat. In the meantime, we have the Mutas on the counterattack too. Corruptors and Mutas here for ZhuGeLiang trying to chase it down. With stutter step control, you can still get some value. Storm is going to be a banger, by the way. Skillous is getting it going right now. If you can actually get some psionic units out, that would be big. Hoping for lucky corrosive biles is always a dangerous threat. Hatchery is going to be rebuilt right over there, but I wonder if it's the right time. Oh, this is a nice back and forth so far, though. Despite the fact that ZhuGeLiang's economy has been questionable for a long time, he now does have more workers than Serral. Serral now down to just 32. Mutas go around the side here for Elazer. Guess he's got multiple squads of them out on the map. Yeah, I thought for a second he was flying them around really quickly. But that's not the case. He's actually got 2 control groups with Mutas. Looking for empty mineral lines, and this one does not have any protection whatsoever. Corruptors, in the meantime, though, use caustic spray right there on the main nexus of Skillous, who is indeed going to be taking so much damage as well. Serral uses Burrow to save whatever worker he's got. Only 22 drones, though, still remain, and more of them are dying now with this little Elazer Ling counterattack. Stalkers, though, are winning the main fight, and Storm is now indeed an available strategy for Skillous. ZhuGeLiang is the one that grabs the supply lead. He does have a good number of units, though, and as long as you can actually contest here, I think it's fine. Yeah, as long as you're not getting overwhelmed. What if the Stalkers go across, right? What if you end up in a situation where it's all of the Mutas of Elazer together with the Stalkers and the High Templar from Skillous fighting ZhuGeLiang's army in one go. This hatchery is running dangerously low, and I do believe it's gonna fall eventually. Yep, Ling Muta going back in for more. That's the hatchery of Elazer dying yet again. Serral, in the meantime, strikes further up north as he is busy working on the third base here of Skillous. In the meantime, we also have a Muta counterattack No detection available here for Elazer, but he's just going to go after the hatchery. Get a couple of mutas as well for dessert. Not too bad. The hatchery itself, though, lives for now. Corruptors show up, so he's going to have to back up once more. Looks like the roach count of Serral, though, has dwindled, and Serral right now is only on 32 workers. How quickly the tables turned in this particular game. And this is what I'm talking about, right? I mean, a year ago, 2v2 was very one-dimensional. We really didn't see a lot of comebacks and counterattacks and all the rest of it. But this is now... Another no cancel. Yeah, this is now looking like a win for Team Red. And they were effectively dead in the water, it felt like earlier today. Well, let's see. The storms are convenient. You gotta be careful. You don't accidentally storm your own allies' units as well. But Elazer has so many mutas left over that I think he can kill the Corruptors. He can kill the mutas here of ZhuGeLiang. And that means that Serral's units are next. GG gets cold. Team Red is going to be able to obtain the 1-0 lead. Okay. Okay, I can breathe again. So much action. All over the map. I hope I do a decent job following all of it. Turns out when you get 4 players in the game that are all capable of like 400 APM minimum. Yeah, there's a lot of actions. It can be difficult to track one of these players when they go for some multi-pronged aggression in a 1v1. I thought for a second, though, that Elazer's units, his mutas, had teleported around the map. I was wondering how they could be home for defense and also be there for aggression at the same time. Well, it turns out he had multiple control groups of mutas, just to make things a little bit more complicated. Alright, well, now we find ourselves on the Fields of Death. Let's see. Another big map. Although I guess all the 2v2 maps are big. Yeah, we had some smaller ones historically, but I don't think that benefits anybody. There is a very easy to take base right over here, actually, with golden minerals on it. Right next to Elazer's main, although he has to go the long way around in order to grab it. We also have some further expansions here in the back. So these are almost freebies. There's one little ramp that leads down to this low ground section where you have multiple expansions available. Skill is the one doing the scouting. Serral now opening up with a very fast, what looks like a third hatchery too. No, are we not? Oh, we're actually just saturating it. ZhuGeLiang, for some reason, taking the forward expo. Yeah. Skillous had been looking around for it. That's why he pings it. So, of course, these players will be in a voice call, right? While they're playing this. It's one of the many frustrations that I've heard when you are solo queuing the 2v2 ladder, or 3v3 or 4v4 for that matter in StarCraft. Those are very popular game modes. But with StarCraft being as fast a paced game as it is, right? Having to then also type enter and be like, yo, can we attack the guy on the right, maybe? Right? Like, it just takes forever to get your thoughts across. And that is exactly one of the problems you also run into in 2v2. Even if you are phenomenal in 1v1, actually communicating and trying to explain what you're doing is not so easy. Sometimes you assume that your ally has got the defense done, and it turns out when they're busy microing, they kind of go quiet. Being able to effectively communicate in team games is very tricky. And I think most people gravitate to StarCraft. Maybe because they don't enjoy having teammates. Maybe they enjoy playing 1v1 instead. Not necessarily every time, but there's very little downtime. So if you don't pay attention, you can just accidentally lose the game. Like sometimes I've had this many times myself where I'm really committed to the aggression, and I feel like the aggression's going really well. And then I glance at the minimap for the first time in like 30 seconds. And while I've been killing my opponents, it turns out the ally, who didn't say anything, was struggling really hard keeping our bases up. I realize I haven't said anything for about a minute. He hasn't said anything about a minute. And then, yeah, what felt like a winning game, or what would have been a winning game in 1v1, does not work out that way in 2v2. Anyways, we've got the lair coming up right now for Elazer. Lair starts up as well for Serral. Spore Crawler's already coming here for ZhuGeLiang. It's mostly here. Serral also built some of them. It's mostly here because of all the oracles that are indeed flying around. This one does not have any kills whatsoever. Maybe waiting for its little brother to show up. There is a built-in voice chat in the game, by the way, but nobody uses it. I think all voice chat these days is all Discord. Although some of the pro gamers actually use Skype because they're boomers. I don't know why they use Skype. I don't know if they still use Skype. Hasn't Skype actually been discontinued? They used Skype until about a year ago. I guess they can't anymore. Anyhow, Oracle's going in. I mean, there may be Spore Crawlers, but... yeah. Spore Crawler's not in position. I like this, actually. The Zergling's joining in. And this can be a massive problem here for Team Blue. What do you do? Suddenly, the damage is starting to be noticeable. Turns out Oracles are awfully efficient when you combine them with Lings. Spore Crawlers and Queens alone are not going to be enough. Spire coming up right now for Elazer. It's a bit funny, actually. Going Mutas and then also Oracles at the same time. Like, Oracles are going to force out Spore Crawlers. And Spore Crawlers are really, really good against Mutalisks. Blink on the back of this here for Skillous. Who seems to be favoring. There you go. That's a difficult word, apparently. Today I'm extra dyslexic, apparently. I'm not even dyslexic, I don't think, but maybe. I don't know. Anyhow. He's favoring the Blinky boys yet again. Oracle into Blink. I mean, it is what you usually do, right? As a Protoss player against Zerg. It makes sense here to play at least a similar variant of it as well in this particular matchup. Don't think you really have to go too crazy. Mix it up all too much. And I guess Stalker compositions in general just flow really nicely with anything your ally can bring. Looks like Skillet has been allowed to take the forward base. Free golden minerals. They are very nice, but they are difficult to hold on to, right? Like, they're relatively exposed, especially if ZhuGeLiang and Serral decide to build any sort of flying units. Now, not the case. Serral has decided to play a very passive game. So he is going Hydra Lurker with an extremely fast Hive here. So the Hive is like halfway finished already. Elazer, did you get a glimpse of it? Where is it? Yeah, he did see the Hive coming up. So he must know that this is very likely the next step. Because they have seen it, though, they decided to now also bring the Stalkers across. And it's a lot of Stalkers. And even more Mutas up in the air. That's not enough Hydras. Serral trying to stutter step. Problem with him losing the Hydras here, of course, is also that the Lurker transition is going to be delayed. Which is ultimately what they're trying to build up. The reason ZhuGeLiang, though, is not helping out with the base defense is because he's counterattacking with Lings. Running a bunch of them into Banelings is not ideal. But I think the hatchery over here may have gone down. What about the Stalker Muta wars in the meantime? Looks like they're reinforcing troops here for the team that is playing in blue. Isn't it gonna be enough to push this all around? Burrow gonna be utilized by ZhuGeLiang as he kills a bunch of the drones on the back of this. There are still some Banes chasing this. More on Burrows. More Queens will be dying. Counterattack, though, by Elazer. Rather than having to deal with these Lings in the main Rinor line, he decides to go after one of the hatcheries. No cancel on that one. Oracle's YOLO in, though. As Serral's Lurker production has started. This Ling counterattack from ZhuGeLiang has been extremely good. Let's have a look at the worker counts right now in total. 82 probes for Skillous. 37 drones right now for Elazer. Yeah, Skillous is booming. When your ally is the punching bag, your economy can go through the roof. How nice is that? Until you realize you actually need to win the game 2v2. Not 2v1. It's not going to be doable. And my main concern here for Skillous is that he is Stalker only. Like, what does he have on the back of this? We're getting charged now. Getting double upgrades and all the rest of it. But last time I checked, Stalkers are not that great against Lurkers. Lurkers already have one of their upgrades. The second one coming up right here. He decided to open up with a very normal type of style for ZVP. Right? So Oracles into Stalkers. But then normally, we don't stick around on Stalkers only. Actually, looks like we're not doing anything with the Stalkers over here on the right. Maybe focused on the base defense and the Stalker counterattack on the left. But this also is going to get shut down. A recall will be nice to have. But I'm a little bit afraid for when the Lurker army goes across. What do you do at that point? Now, the Muta numbers are pretty good, though. We do have 18 Mutas available. Serral playing this conservatively, trying to max out first. We have 4 Robos. We're going 5 Robo? Quintuple Robo to try and counter Lurkers. Well, one of them goes down to the Mutas. That is a lot. Banelings available as well for Elazer, who wants to roll them into those Hydras, I'm sure. But Banelings against Lurkers? I don't know, man. Seems risky. We have Adrenal Glands. We have Ultras coming up as well for ZhuGeLiang. It all comes down to where those Banelings are going to connect. Counterattacked here with the Mutas once more. Banelings are actually going to get picked off by the Hydras before the roly-poly research is done. Double Ultra Cavern here for ZhuGeLiang. And it looks like even though we do have quintuple Robo, not all of them are going to be able to produce for very long. Repositioning there with the speed boost on the Hydras. Lurkers are going to get into a really nice position, protecting the main ramp that leads down from all these bases. And while the Muta counterattack is still strong, I don't know how good the Mutas are going to be in the main fights. Serral's maxed. 3-3 coming up for ZhuGeLiang. Adrenal Glands, like I said, is nearly finished. Double Ultra Cavern done as well. It seems, though, that none of that is necessary, as Serral carries the victory. And they tidy up the score, 1-1. And that means it all comes down to this. Undercurrent, final map in this best of 3 series. Now, to make things extra confusing, Serral and ZhuGeLiang decided to switch color. Okay. All right. I got this. Let me try and guide you through this game, okay? Even though I don't really have a very deep understanding of 2v2 at all, because nobody does. The meta is not very settled, and it seems like the sky is the limit. Now, what I would kind of like to see is a coordinated assault by 2 players going up and then beating up one dude at a time. That's how 2v2 usually goes in my experience, right? That's why a lot of the maps do feature 2 guys over here sharing a main base. Because that way, if your ally gets beat up, you're gonna be next pretty much right away. One tiny ramp over here. There is a backdoor expansion once more. This is the politeness of StarCraft players out there, right? You gotta make sure that you do not take. It depends on what culture you're in, I guess. I'm sure in some cultures it's totally acceptable to take the easy to acquire base right away. But in Dutch culture, that would be considered rather rude. So, yeah, Elazer growing up apparently with a similar setup decides to take the forward expansion as his very first one, leaving Skillous to take the expansion right over here. 20 supply is usually when we take it, so right about right now. Oh, Skillous also polite. Dang. Well. Now we end up with a weird situation where nobody's eating the last cookie. Who's gonna take the cookie? Just take it. It's yours. Ugh. All right, anyway, spawning pool coming up. You don't eat the last cookie. No, you don't. I'll take it at some point, though. When nobody pays attention. When, like, the caster has been lulled into a false sense of security, that's when I take it. When nobody looks at it anymore. Now, Skillous has been living in the Netherlands for some time. so maybe that's why he doesn't... he's been living here for, like, I don't know, maybe 5 years. Maybe Dutch culture is kind of rubbing off on him. Very good. Stargate coming up here, though, this time around for Skillous, which is nice. I think from the previous Euthermal 2v2 series, we pretty much all learned that Phoenixes are overpowered. They're kind of a terrible unit in 1v1 in most situations. Like, they're... Look at this. Elazer now takes the forward base as well. Have they just not noticed that there is a freaking expansion right over here? Anyways, what I'm getting at is that Phoenix builds are really strong. We saw Oracles last time around. Oracles into Stalkers. I wouldn't mind seeing some Phoenixes. I don't know if it's good against Zerg. But Phoenix builds in general seem to really shine. Okay, we're going Oracles. But Phoenix builds in general seem to really shine in team games. Whoa. I forgot about that. Thundercurrent, or Undercurrent rather, has the giant space wheel flying around. Otto the Overlord is going to die. There's probably one over here as well, behind the natural expansion of Elazer. Oh! Skillous ate the last cookie. Nice. It makes sense. So what's the strategy going to be? We have a Roach Warren coming up for Serral. A big Ling influx suddenly, though, here for Elazer. So what do we... ZhuGeLiang going into a quick lair as well. Do the Zergs have any units? Not really. This little Ling run by can actually really hurt. Elazer wasn't really planning on dealing damage with it, but he may just be able to get a load of queens. Oracle decides to join in as well and get a couple of kills. This is the support somehow, some way. Quote-unquote supporting. Getting 5 confirmed kills right now. No gold situations in StarCraft 2, though, and this is a disaster for Team Blue. Honestly, losing that many queens can just be game-ending. Queens are the absolute backbone of everything here. 15 kills on the Oracle. The Lings are still running around here of Elazer, who wasn't really planning on dealing a lot of damage, but now decides to try his hand at some more Zerglings. Can't really blame him. Yeah, maybe go for a cheeky little Baneling push. Why not? Team Blue has been knocked back to the Bronze Age here. It's going to take a while before they will recuperate. And while there is now a Roach Warren out, Serral doesn't have a lot of roaches. He's thinking about going for a forward base, but that's not going to happen. And this is one of the things we'll see. As long as 2v2 is not a mainstay, these are the types of strategies that can sometimes accidentally win the game. It's the type of thing we used to see in the early days of StarCraft 2's 1v1 as well, back in 2010. Random attacks. Oh, jeez. Random attacks would just end games. And, well, this may just be one of them. Elazer just made like 20 Lings and got like all the value. ZhuGeLiang going into Hydras. Serral going into Roaches. But GG is indeed cold. Elazer's random Ling attack got the job done. And that indeed means that Skillous and Elazer obtained a victory. A little bit of an anticlimactic game number 3. But it's really nice to see that 2v2 is back. And as soon as more games are available, I'll definitely go check them out.